I wanted to start by asking you all, do you remember like where and how you saw the film for the first time? Did you all see it 10 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. So we did a double bill. We did the first and second films to align with this one coming out in 2015. And it's exactly the same energy. Like
I was there, it was.
For the second one. And I think that's so interesting. And it's really interesting watching those two films back to back. And I think you touched on that wonderfully in your introduction. Like, I think Magic Mike XXL is just such a great example of kind of coming out of the shadows of another film and like directly answering to some of the big flaws of that first film. And not only doing that, but like being its own kind of standalone entity that's just so joyful. It strips away all that toxicity from the first film, and it's just so elating to watch as we all kind of shared an experience. And yeah, exactly the same then as it was tonight, which just shows like how much it endures.
And Gina and Venus, how about you? Did you see the film when it first came out?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, and it's been really great to like revisit it actually. It was really, yeah, so it's a really great film. It's nice to see joy like from the perspective of sex workers as well, because it can actually be quite like a heavy subject, as I'm sure you know. So it's nice to kind of like see it in a way that's told, the story's told in a positive way.
Yeah, I remember not really caring about the first one because it was quite like gloomy.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, it's a bit miserable. I wanted it to be more like this one. And then, so I never saw the second one, this one in the cinema. But I remember I was on like an overnight flight to New York with my best friend Eden, and we were just sat next to each other and we're like, oh my God, it's on, we should just watch it. And it was like 4 a.m. UK time, and we were both just going like this. Everyone else on the plane was asleep, and I think that's like the joy, and definitely the joy I felt tonight of like watching it with an audience. Like it's such like a participatory film as well. Like you can't really, well, you could watch it on your own in your bedroom. And I'm like again, but yeah, I think it's such like a group number, isn't it?
Definitely.
I mean, talking of it being like a group viewing experience, Beth, I wonder if you want to tell us a little bit more about that screening, that double bill that happened in 2015. I remember it was like such a moment, and you had a panel. I think it was touching on like the representation of masculinity in the film. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. So yeah, it was, and again, it was just like you couldn't tell where the screaming was on the stage and where it was in the audience. It was just amazing. But yeah, it was touching on the masculinity of it. Or within the framework of female pleasure. And I think that's such an important thing, that it doesn't sacrifice one to have the other. Like, I refer to this film as the Fellowship of the G-string, because I think it's such a like wonderful showcase of camaraderie, but that also spotlights female pleasure. So, I mean, the Cheetos water sequence is one of my all-time favorites. Just the way that they, albeit on Molly, like are so present for each other and supportive. And then also, you know, share, and what incredible acting from that girl as well. I'm like never not astonished by what she can do with her face. It's so great.
Who is she? Where is she now?
We should have got her here. Yeah. She should be here. But yeah, so I think there's so much to say about it as a kind of showcase of masculinity. It's also important to kind of think about the time it came out, 2015, pre-Trump, pre-Tate. You know, I feel like this film is as important as it was then. It really has endured and feels really necessary, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Gina, one of the things that you do as part of Polyester is a newsletter called Non-Threatening Boys, Asterix, because everyone is a non-threatening boy. I just wondered if you could tell us a bit more about like the ethos of that newsletter, and also, do you think Mike and the gang fit under, are they non-threatening boys?
They are in my heart. Non-Threatening Boys Asterix is actually a magazine that Lisa Simpson reads in The Simpsons, and we added the Asterix because we kind of take a lens on it on like anyone who engages with or performs masculinity. It doesn't have to necessarily be cis men like in this film, but like queer people. But I think these 5 men would definitely qualify. I think like their interpretation of masculinity is how can we use that as like, that translates as friendship, and it translates as like pleasing women, but not in like a horrible way, but in a really like wholesome, like genuine, caring kind of way. And I think like, yeah, the masculinity in this film, like, because it's such like a film about like, yeah, obviously the dancing is incredible, but like they're like friendship, like you just like, it really does just warm your heart. And I think that is like a message of what masculinity and masculine friendships should be really, really well.
I totally agree. And Venus, as you kind of mentioned in your intro, one of the things that you focus on your work is education and awareness spreading about sex work. You kind of have mentioned this already, but do you think this brings awareness to sex work, or are there any kind of negative stereotypes we've seen in cinema before that it reinforces?
Yeah, I think that, like, for me, education, like an impactful education is one that isn't necessarily like preachy, which I think is really nice about this film, because it kind of approaches the subject in a way that's very real and wholesome. And I think that's the kind of way that I like to approach education about sex work myself. It's about highlighting the more positive aspects, as well as some of the kind of challenges that you might face in the industry as well. It'd be quite interesting to know, like, if the male entertainers would call themselves sex workers as well, because sometimes it could be quite like it's a question sometimes, various aspects of the industry, people may or may not kind of like align with the term sex worker. So I'd be interested in knowing what the boys would think. But yeah, I think it's so lighthearted. It would be like a bit nitpicky to kind of focus on the things that could potentially be a little bit, I don't know, like problematic. I don't think it's a problematic film at all, really. I think it really highlights the kind of, and like he was saying, the camaraderie and the friendship. I think very often when sex workers are portrayed, it's kind of like in this way where you're isolated as an individual, and actually a lot of the industry, like surviving the industry, is about forming these like really important friendships that will carry you through. And I think this film, that's the best thing about this film, is like it really highlights the fact that you're not in it on your own, you're in it with a group of people, and that's kind of like the safest way to be in the industry.
One of the things I think is really interesting about this film is that it's kind of very much catered to a specific audience. Like the tagline of the film on the poster is literally "You're welcome." And going into it as a queer woman, I was like, okay, well, some of this will be for me, but there's only so much of the film I need to see with like men taking their tops off and whatever. But it's actually, I find it a really queer film, and it's like, I think it's really interesting. Every female character apart from Andie MacDowell is like either implicitly or explicitly queer, and that's just kind of there in the film. But also even like, obviously the scene in Mad Mary's where they're like, yeah, we're going to go Vogue on stage with the drag queens. There's just like so much kind of joy, and just like, again, it's like thinking about this in 2015. It's a time where I guess you could just like put all these queer characters on screen and just be like, we'll just drop like one little hint that maybe these people were together. But what do you guys think about like the queerness in the film? Does it feel natural? Does it feel like they're just like, we got to get some gays in there?
It's so queer. I feel very pleased, and I'm bisexual, so like seeing all those different kinds of relationships on screen is really hot. And I think also like queerness is like, as a culture, is about just like progressive values and just being open about sexuality in general. Doesn't really matter like what like specifically it is. It's just about having that kind of like representation and the open-mindedness around the culture as well.
Yeah, I think it really hits that sweet spot of being like really great diverse representation without feeling like it. And when I was watching it, it was kind of like, this film could only have come out in 2015. Like it feels so like of its time, not just the clothing, but the
Y2K.
That like
every top that Channing wears,
the shoes,
bygone era,
the skinny jeans. Yes. But yeah, I feel like now there would just be too much backlash to something like this, like woke gone mad sort of thing, whereas like at the time we were all just happy being woke.
And also, yeah, just like all these things that are dropped into the film, none of them really feel like they're doing it to like tick like woke points. Like I think I always, I laugh so much every time I watch a film, but I do get a bit emotional when I see like the shots of just like fat women in the audience, especially the scene with Matt Bomer at the very end when he's kind of dancing up on the girl and her dress rides up and you see like her thigh rub shorts. I was like, that's representation.
I know. I was like, I've got some on right now. I was like, but I also think like
matters.
That's why the film works so well, is because that's what real life looks like. Like that is what it would look like if you, like, I went to a Dream Boys for my hen do, and that is just what the audience looks like, because it's just like groups of mates going to go see these things, and groups of mates are body diverse, gender diverse, all different kinds of people. So it just makes sense. Like if there was a male stripper convention going on, I think people of every fucking ilk would be there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even like thinking about the framing device of the film as it is, it's like the lowest, I would say it's like the lowest stakes film, the lowest stakes road movie I've ever seen. They're not going to a competition, they're going to a convention. They're not going to win anything, they're going to have fun. But I think it's like a really interesting subversion of like the road movie, which is like, you know, the hero goes off on a journey and then he finds what he's looking for, or he just goes home. It's just like, they just kind of drift along. Like it feels like kind of just like, it's almost like a play in a way. It's like very specific scenes. But do you guys like, is that part of the joy of the film for you? Like this kind of free-flowing structure?
Yeah, I mean, the only peril is the MC like bumps his head.
And it's like, but he comes back. He's fine.
And he comes back and he's absolutely fine. When Ken's like, he'll live. So like the comedy is fantastic. But yeah, that's just it. It just strips away, because I think that's what we were saying about the first film. Like a lot of that conflict, a lot of that turmoil, you know, presenting sex work as, you know, just a paid gig. And I am so glad that the girlfriend from the first film is not in this film, because what a drag. But like just stripping that all away, keeping it as this like really loose, as you say, just like the lowest stakes road movie, but you get to spend all this time with these characters as they have these almost like Wizard of Oz moments, like one gets their courage back, one gets the heart, one's gets the but it's all their mojo. You know, it's just all their you know, their confidence is taking a little bump and they get it back. I love it. And I feel weirdly proud of them every time one of them would come out for the dance. I'd be like, go on, Dick. Like, yes, we've been with you the whole way, man. It's so lovely. So yeah, take away the conflict, take away the peril, and just let them shine.
And also like their journeys are then woven into the dances at the end. It's like, look, he's doing his art. Oh, I feel so silly to wax lyrical about this film sometimes, but the passion is truly there.
And it's a goofy film. I think that's just it. It's so goofy in so many ways. Like so much of the dancing is goofy. It's wonderful and joyful and pleasing and healing. Like I know we laugh when they were saying they're healers, but kind of are.
There is something in that though as well, because I used to be a stripper and now I strip for the gays only. But it is a way of like being creative, like you're saying about how they kind of like bring in their characters in. There is like a massive healing element of that. It's like developing your character and devising this kind of like almost like a different you. Like the film does speak a lot about like what performance art is, I guess, especially like in the context of sex work. I think a lot of like myself and a lot of my friends have really like found themselves in the kind of like creatively in the like stripper kind of performance art space. So it was really nice that they kind of explored that as well.
Something that I think is really interesting about the dances as well is that a lot of them, especially like Channing Tatum's one and Twitch's one, R.I.P. King, he's so good in this film, it's based a lot on like physique and physicality and like actual dancing as opposed to like, I suppose, voyeurism. I think it's really interesting. It's about them, they can lift people, they can twirl, they can dance in a certain way. And actually like thinking about this film in terms of like you don't see any sex on screen. I think the stripping, you know, it's like delayed gratification with the actual stripping. It's like, we're not going to show this to the end. I'm trying to compare it to the first one, which I haven't seen for ages, but I think it's definitely tamer than the first film in terms of like how it's actually portraying the stripping. But I feel like weirdly, like that's part of the pleasure of it, is that it is so kind of almost innocent and tame, but it's a film about obviously male entertainers or strippers, whatever you want to call them.
And about the anticipation as well. That's what's hot about stripping as well. It's the waiting part. It's like easing it out, and they've like the whole film is like that. Yeah, like you said, and it's all at the end.
We got to talk about Jada Pinkett Smith. She's incredible in this film. Interestingly, her character was initially meant to be male. I think it was meant to be played by Jamie Foxx, which I know. I cannot imagine any of that. Do you think it adds to the film, her being played by Jada Pinkett Smith, and also her character being female and having that kind of like, it's kind of, the Amber Heard character is there, but it's kind of the closest we get to like a romantic story really in the film.
Which I didn't think we needed. I just didn't think we needed any of that. You don't need that. Could you imagine anyone else but Jada Pinkett Smith playing that character there. I just can't imagine anyone else doing that. She just elevates the film to a place that I don't think it would have gone otherwise. Like, it's genius casting.
I also think it kind of needed to be a woman for like the setting of when they go to that house, and she's like talking the women through like embracing the experience and like genuinely enjoying it. And I think there's something between like women letting other women enjoy or like access their sexuality that would have been so fucking weird if it was Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx saying, "Queens, don't you know you're beautiful?"
It's such a boke, isn't it? Like, oh, no, I'm leaving. Cancel my subscription.
Yeah, please don't say that, Jamie.
But the women have the real power in the film as well. Like, even, you know, I guess you could argue that they don't, they're kind of providing like this peripheral thing. But, you know, she is the most powerful character in the film, and he obviously is like really looks to her for like validation, support, and all those things. So it's a really nice touch, that as well, and kind of like opening up that conversation of what does female power look like, and what we can do when we harness. And I really think a lot of female power is about harnessing our sexuality, not necessarily so much in the bedroom, but just having like confidence in yourself to kind of, and like how you move through the world, and self-acceptance, and you know.
Yeah, I think that's
also Gina.
I was going to say that's really beautifully done in Andy McDowell's scenes as well, where she's just like trying to convince her mates to like, just enjoy the moment they were having, and like, let's talk about your sex life and what you're not enjoying about it. And here's these really sexy men that we can just like have a laugh with.
Yeah. I love how she made damn 3 syllables. I don't know many people.
And she's so gorgeous. Oh my god.
Yeah,
so hot.
It's so interesting as well. I feel like you can really see like Margaret Qualley, like her entire career born from that one Andy McDowell scene. I'm like, that's her. That's like her shtick. It's so interesting. What I thought was really interesting watching this film, it's crazy as well. I only rewatched this last weekend, but even just between now and then, there's so many things I picked up on. Again, very 2015, the way that Rome is talking about like her club being a subscription-based model, and everyone's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. It kind of is, it's foreshadowing like where we're at now with sex work in a way, like thinking about like OnlyFans and the kind of discussions that are going on there, obviously in a very different realm. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. I know some parties like that as well. You kind of got to like subscribe, because it keeps it's like a community, isn't it? And I guess a lot of people who attend these events don't necessarily want people, people outside knowing that they go to these things. So yeah, there are little things in the film like that kind of shine a bit of a light on the different world, I guess.
And it's interesting as well, like the subscription-based space being like a largely black space as well. I think like having that safe space for like especially black women, I think you mainly see women at the club, them having that space, I think is like really, really powerful. Again, in 2015, to just like see that many black women on screen was like
and America has like a whole entirely different culture with this kind of thing as well. Like I think we're really behind in a lot of ways, and the strip club industry has really been like impacted over the last couple of years in this in this country. It's like not the same. I mean, I speak to like veteran stripper friends. They're like, it's just not the same. The money's not the same. You don't really get representation in the strip club either. There's like whereas in America you have kind of like different spaces that kind of cater to different needs. But yeah, I think. We could learn a lot actually from how they do things there. They've always really like, they take sex seriously, I think, in like sex club culture, that kind of thing. They take it seriously there, whereas here we're struggling to keep up.
Yeah, I've got a suggestion. We need conventions.
We need a convention.
The convention.
Take over the Excel Centre.
Yes, take over the O2. Let's dream. Let's make this happen. I'm going to open it up to the audience in a minute. I don't know if people have any questions on a Sunday night after you've used all your energy screaming hysterically, but I hope you do. But I was just wondering, and this is kind of a big question, I think, especially in 2025, do you guys consider this film to be a feminist film? And does a film being feminist really matter in 2025?
I was thinking about this when you sent me the questions, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to say it's a feminist film because I feel like it's neutral. I was like, it kind of isn't trying to address anything feminist, but it also isn't being sexist. So that's great. But then
The bar is so low.
Yeah, again, real win in 2015.
But then when I just watched it, I was like, oh, is this feminist as well? Again, like the representations of female pleasure being prioritized, female pleasure also being like something, like just pleasure itself being seen as something silly, like our sexuality is something that we can play with. Men characters who aren't evil. And yeah, again, the like diversity in this film is just like fucking top tier. And it's sad that like we've regressed so much. But yeah, I've watched so many films like in maybe like the past 10 years where just even the extras, like there's no fat people in it. And I'm like, have you ever been down fucking Market Street in Manchester? Like it's just not like her. But yeah, I think it really does stand out, and it as a specifically feminist film to me now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. I'm saying that the time it came out, you know, pre-Trump and things. This was also before Me Too happened, and like Time's Up, and Hollywood was like, there was quite a knee-jerk reaction to those headlines and those changes, and we started to see feminism in films manifesting in great ways and also not great ways. And I think the fact that this happened before any of this kind of pressure started cooking up in Hollywood to make these big changes, this was before that. This was kind of pioneering in that respect in terms of what it showed and the kinds of stories that you can tell, you know, just of your own accord without it having to be in response to something. But yeah, I agree. Also, there's, if you want some like great additional reading, Cosmopolitan interviewed 5 of the extras from this film.
Nice.
And it's just great reading, hearing their first-hand accounts of being up at that convention and like what they got to do and what the experience was like in between takes and things. But like the last one, this woman says like, we all just left. It was one of the best things that could have happened to Florida. She was like, we just all left feeling like goddesses. We all just went home and felt incredible. And I think if you can get that sense from just being a part of that behind the scenes, you know, just being someone who's on camera for like 5 seconds, then absolutely this is feminist film if it can empower you in that way. Great reading, honestly. I think it's
I can recommend another article as well. Roxane Gay wrote a review of the film. I can't remember what website for, but it'll come up. And it's just, it's kind of like live reactions. Like it's not really like structured. And I believe she says the phrase, she said, my vagina has flutters or something like that. It's a real gripping read. But going back to the question at hand, Venus, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think it's interesting as well, obviously, because it's about men and stuff. But yeah, I think anything that centers female pleasure and does so in a way that doesn't like objectify or kind of have a very narrow idea of what female pleasure is feminist. So yeah, I would say so.
Shout out to the non-threatening boys.
Yeah.
Actually, one more quick question before I open it up. Have any of you seen Magic Mike's Last Dance?
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, it's not part of the canon.
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. There's a really embarrassing tweet from me on the day I went to see it saying this is my Return of the King, and then I nearly walked out. It was such a letdown, man. I know.
I tried to watch it, I just didn't like it. Turned it off after 20 minutes.
Yeah, we did.
Just didn't have the magic. But didn't you say it's the same director as the first one?
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, so I'm like,
There you go.
get away from it.
He makes
Pack
so
it
many
in.
other films. Supposed to go and make 10 more films.
Go back to whoever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better off ignoring the third film because I feel like it undoes a lot of the stuff that the second film does. It's such a weird like trilogy of films when you get into it,
Yeah.
especially 2 of them being directed by Steven Soderbergh. It's like what? How? Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously we're also only given one scene with the boys, and they're all on Zoom
On
as well.
Zoom.
Which
Do you know,
is-
I can't
Oh my
even
God,
talk
really?
about
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of
That's
heartbreaking.
tragic, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah, massively. Sex work is in a lot of ways very precarious. Obviously, like you're using your body. There's a lot of like policy and legislation that can impede how you do the work, and that is a very like common story. Like exiting sex work is a thing. I have a lot of friends who've kind of like been in the industry for a long time and are now, looking to leave, and it's hard. It's really hard because. It does become part of your identity, and there's also a part of you that kind of doesn't want that in some ways as well, because it can be, people judge you, and it does make life harder. So, and I think especially, and like in some ways, maybe more so for men, because it's not so common, and I think it can be really looked down upon as well. And I think it's a really good question in terms of men as well, because these are good guys. You can tell that they're good guys. That they have a really strong friendship and they care about each other. But if they were to have made it a more kind of like a serious film, there could be like the whole thing that's done on that, about exiting the industry, and what it does to your psychology and what it does to like your friendships, relationships, etc. So yeah, it's actually a very serious issue that most workers will face at some point.
He was going before. I'd say this is kind of like his first mainstream moment. Also, I love that everyone in the audience kind of went, oh, when he appeared. It's such a jump scare every single time. But this is like that kind of sweet spot where I think like Community had got really big. It was the year before Atlanta came out, I think.
We've got a scholar here.
Yeah. I know things. Also, yeah, I'm pulling all these dates out of nowhere. I'm like, how do I know all of this? But yeah, this was definitely, I do not think you would ever see Donald Glover singing a Bruno Mars song in big old 2025. Like, you could tell he still needed the money.
I think his character's really interesting, though, like to have someone who's maybe not like being so outwardly sexual, but still like trying to like provide that like romantic catharsis for like a woman in that space. I thought it was really great, and also like a different body type as well.
Yeah, that's so true.
It was really nice to see.
And he also, I think, has the most interesting line where he's like, all you got to do is ask women what they want and then do it.
It's the motto of my marriage.
It was the best night of my life. Is all I have to say on that. Everyone should go. We would have no war if everyone just went to Magic Mike. I'm being serious. Like, there'd be no war.
I haven't been yet, but I do have a friend in the audience who has been, and also happy birthday coming up, Kirby, who's been several times. So if you need to know, I should have said her name, sorry. If you do need to know the best seats to sit at the show, I can pass on her recommendations to you. Also, if anyone's contemplating watching Magic Mike's Last Dance, it is essentially propaganda for the stage show, so just go to the stage show.
I think sex work, with all of like the dangers and everything aside, and that's another topic, but one of the positive things is very egalitarian. Like, as long as you kind of have the drive, you can do the work. And also in that way as well, there's a lot of older sex workers as well. There is I'm a dom as well, so I definitely, as I've gotten old, I started in the industry when I was quite young, and domination has become much easier as I've gotten older, as I know myself more, and I think it's you know the industry more. It's a career. Do you know what I mean? So like the longer you're in, you're doing something, and I think one of the things that one of the positives about sex work is that it's actually like less about looks than people think. Like it can be, but it's also more about like who you are as a person, like. What your character is, like what you're providing outside of like, it's like looks. I would say probably like the least important thing in a lot of ways. I think I think aging. It wasn't just about yes, it is for the guys, but also like talking about like older women and like what pleasure, like how we access pleasure as we get older as well. I think we need to like have more conversations about what that looks like for us, especially as women, because there's so much. My mum always says, when you get to 50, 55, you start to be invisible, and that's a really like horrible thing to experience. And I think if people, I think we should be speaking about aging, like not just in terms of like sex work, but just in general as well, because of course it massively impacts like how you see yourself as a sexual being. And sex work is very physical as well. So like you have to kind of like change the work that you're doing depending on like how your body's feeling as well. So yeah, so that's a really interesting question. I think it's complicated, but I also think that sex work is, you get a lot of grannies doing sex work as you should. I think it's important to see like you see a lot of different representation in this industry. It's one of the positives about it.
I might wrap this up so you can all go buy Magic Mike Live tickets.
Everyone's itching now.
Yeah. So let me get on my phone. I just want to give a big shout out to all of you beautiful panelists. This audience, this really has been like a screening many years in the making for me, and it's been as wonderful as I always hoped it would be.
Congrats to you as well.
Thank you so much.